Matthews is now the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. John Tavares handing it off. Apparently, this happened over the course of like a few weeks, where at the end of season meetings, John sat down with Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan. They sort of broached the idea. They had discussions about it. Shanahan went to Tavares' house, make sure he was okay with it.
It was a process.
It
wasn't just, oh, John, give me that shit.
Yeah.
It was a process.
Yeah. And John is graciously passing the baton on to Auston Matthews, where, what was interesting to me about this story, guys, and I don't know if this was your experience with it, but I thought most Leaf fans were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There wasn't like any hot takes about it.
No, I mean, the mood in Leafs Nation is poor. Mm-hmm. It's not good. Mm-hmm. There's obviously a lot of fans who are stoked. A lot of fans listening right now going, well, that doesn't describe me. And I understand that. It's not just my view of the team, but like, dude, they just lost in the first round again. Mm-hmm. They talked about everything's on the table, and then as close to nothing happened. As close to nothing happening as possible happened. Basically, nothing from the core. And they made a couple good signings, and it's been a very boring offseason. And they're taking a C from Tavares' jersey, and they're putting it on Matthews. And a lot of pessimists are like, all right, what's that supposed to do? Is that going to help him score in the playoffs? Like what is that supposed to do? I think that's why it felt...
It's not going to not give him the flu. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like it felt kind of flat.
I liked it.
Once the games start, once they take to the ice again and they announce Auston and they announce him last because he's the captain, everyone's going to feel really excited. And it's going to be... the stories write themselves, and I'm sure he'll have a big first game because he always does, and then it'll be about the sea. But like in terms of it as a summer story, I'm not surprised people didn't care all that much.
I thought it was a little premature to remove the captaincy from Tavares. I think if his contract's coming to an end this season, there's a natural conclusion and a transition to a new era.
Yeah.
I thought the way CJ put it in his article in The Athletic, where he started his second paragraph. I'll just read it to you right now. I have it up. No matter how many different angles you try to see it from, no matter how favorably the acts and timelines and timelines and chain of conversations might be rearranged, there's simply no way to spin the Toronto Maple Leafs decision as a positive outcome for the well-respected forward. And I think that rings very true in that if you're the captain of a team and your goal is to bring a Stanley Cup to the organization and you want to be the captain, it's not like John Tavares no longer wants to be the captain. This had to be taken from him.
Yeah.
It's a failure. And I think it's tough for me to watch that. It was tough for me to watch that press conference because there's a guy whose goal is to win a Stanley Cup for the Leafs and be the captain of the team, and he didn't accomplish that, and it's being taken from him and given to Auston. So it was a little sad for me. Being honest,
I understand that feeling, and like it makes perfect sense. I doubt he was like, "That's a great idea, Brad. Hell yeah, mm-hmm. Take it from me, give it to Auston, and do whatever you want." I think he handled it with grace, like putting, not just literally passing the torch, like handing the jersey to Auston.
Yeah,
literally passing the torch.
All they needed was a literal torch.
Very symbolic, really on the nose, but like. Having his kids dressed in Matthews jerseys, like you're putting someone else's name on your kids. Like that's a big deal. From an organizational standpoint, though, I do think this is the time to do it. Because this year, like, listen, we know the Leafs are scared to death about the messaging of anything getting out of their control. Mm-hmm. And this year has the potential to really go off the rails in terms of messaging. Like if the fan base is to be feared, like the team seems to fear it, don't know why they sell tickets. Tavares has a contract expiring as a UFA. So that's your captain. We were just talking about Crosby, talking about Stamkos. Well, this is your captain heading into a year with no contract, and whether or not it even makes sense to, just let him walk or whatever. It's a story. And the deeper we get into the season, it's a story. Mm-hmm. And then the trade deadline passes and he's not traded and all of a sudden, you're heading into the playoffs and like, is this the last hurrah? And that becomes a distraction. And Mitch. Like, Tavares isn't even the Leafs' biggest pending unrestricted.
Yeah, that's
free agent.
1A. 1A is Mitch. I think he's ahead of JT in terms of the UFAs.
Yes, but it depends on who you ask. Like, Marner's the bigger star. He's the higher scorer. He's the better player. But Tavares is the captain. And if you don't get out in front of one, you definitely can't get out in front of the other. Like, maybe you're limiting it to one headache now. This isn't a headache anymore. You know what I mean? I know it sucks for Tavares.
Yeah.
I do. But for the Leafs, to me, this is business taken care of.
I think the way it fell flat too is that there was no lead up to it, and it feel like I don't think they should have got ahead of it. I feel like if he's coming to an end of a contract and if he decides to move on, there's the captaincy leaving. It's easy that way. And if he's re-signing, then with the new contract, you usher in a new era. So it felt a little flat in the middle of the summer to do this all of a sudden at the beginning of the season when there's no real lead up for media wise or team wise. And then,
well, I think that part was on purpose.
The
no lead up part was for sure
100%. The Leafs love not making noise, even though they're the noisiest franchise in the sport. So I don't know. I thought it definitely fell flat in that it was a little rushed and early.
Why not fight for your throne? Like, right now,
I see. This is where you guys, I disagree with Jesse on this. I think the problem here, why not fight for your throne?
Yeah.
Is exactly the reason why John's not captain anymore.
Oh,
I
meant the team.
I think in this particular case, and this is where I get frustrated with John. I watched him get ragdolled a couple times against the Bruins. I mentioned it on the show. Game 3, Jesse and I were there. And I looked at Jesse and said, it would be nice if he showed some emotion sometimes. I think it is absolutely the right time. They need to have somebody. I mean, there was a time when this team looked to, if they were down, you could look to Tavares and you could look to Marner and Matthews, Nylander, whatever. I don't think those days where John is going to come out there and score the winning goal are the same anymore. I think it's Auston, Mitch, Willie, and then a little bit further, and then it's John.
Are we forgetting that he scored the OT winner to
2
send
seasons
the team
ago? What have you done for me lately?
Sorry. The second round, their first playoff series win.
And he did it
forever.
on the island too. But my point is that
what's crazy is his save percentage, his shooting percentage was down, and there's reason to believe he could have a bounce back here.
I think, and I've been a Tavares booster the whole way, but I've thought for 2 years that Matthews is the real captain of this team, and I think you need a younger voice who's perhaps a little bit more passionate in the outward sense. It's not to say John's not driven. It's not to say John doesn't dedicate every second of his life, because we know he does.
He does.
To being a better hockey player. We know that. Sometimes it's not just leading by example. Sometimes it's just like, I remember when I was growing up, I had this VHS of the Detroit Red Wings first Stanley Cup since like the 50s or 60s. It was called the Hockeytown video. Did you have that too?
I didn't, but like our neighborhood was a huge Red Wings neighborhood
because of Draper. Yeah. So I had it, and I remember they like talk about in the playoffs the type of leaders that they had, and specifically Yzerman. Mm-hmm. And there was a game where they were just terrible, like just a terrible. I think it was probably against the Ducks in the 3rd round or whatever it was, and I guess Chris Draper is actually interviewed in this, and he talked about Yzerman's reaction to it, and he's like, he didn't yell, he didn't scream, but he's like, we knew, and I feel like, especially for a younger guy, you look at a Matthew Nyes or an Easton Count or whatever coming up, they're gonna look at Matthews and go, he's a fucking god. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And whatever he says, I'm listening to it. And it's not that John isn't great, but his star is fading. And I don't know what.
2009 was a long time ago.
What's that?
2009 was a long time.
And I don't know.
That's when he was picked.
I don't know that means that he's not going to get 80 points again this year. And if he did, it wouldn't surprise me. But the point is that for me, looking from the outside in, Matthews is a new voice. It's not about being quiet when you lose. It's about kind of being like, you guys better pull it together. And I also think on the ice, having to deal with problems, situationally, right? Where they send the captain out there to talk to the ref. It's going to be him and Morgan Riley doing that now. And I think that's the way it should be. That's my personal opinion.
And I think all the reasons you gave are the reasons that the Leafs probably decided to give Auston the captaincy, and those are the reasons. But I still look at all that stuff and I'm like, okay, if the Leafs thought like this, I still feel for the man who then they look at him as a failure. I'm like, that sucks.
I don't think they look at him as a failure because
they're saying you weren't enough to be captain.
He wasn't.
And I don't know if I hold that.
The San Jose Sharks did it to Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
Or did they do it to Marleau to give it to Thornton? I can't even remember anymore. It was Marleau Thornton.
I think it was Thornton first.
And they were there for years afterwards. Yeah. And I think made the finals afterwards.
I think, yes. Jesse, this feels, there's a flavor to this that reminds me of Jerome McGinley had retirement forced upon him. And like
John Tavares had captaincy forcibly taken away from him. He did not choose.
Captaincy that he got like 5 years ago. Like a lot happened in half a decade.
Half a decade, man.
Yeah. I think there was a natural conclusion coming in on July 1st or whenever he signs the next deal. Like if he takes the team discount, that felt like a natural transition into a new era. I don't know.
I think you're really underestimating the distraction this was going to be. This was going to be bad.
We'll never know.
Yeah,
good.
Thank God, because the Mitch contract thing is going to be.
Yeah, now we get to talk about Mitch Marner for 800 days in a row. Awesome, guys.
To be fair, I think with the Leafs. Remember when the Leafs said everything was on the table, and we were like, okay, everything's on the table, and they're like, but it isn't. Through their actions, right? You don't judge somebody on their words; you judge them by their actions.
Everything's on the table except the phone.
Yeah,
apparently.
We simply couldn't. We could not. He's got a no trade. We simply couldn't call anybody else to see.
Everything meant Nick Robertson's going to sit out.
Yeah. You know what? You know who we're breaking on the wheel? It's Nick Robertson.
That's the big move, you guys.
We can't let these RFAs, get one over on us.
Tanev's the best right-handed shot they've had in literally like a generation. It's pathetic.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's pathetic, and yet, well, he's here now, so good. I'm going to ignore the amount of years. I'm ignoring the amount of years.
Tanev's not the pathetic part, right? It's the fact that they've not had a right shot defenseman in so long. It's embarrassing.
No, and you know how most people enjoy their summers, and I think about hockey?
Yeah.
Sean Durzi would have easily been the best right-handed Leaf defenseman in 20 years?
Yeah.
Who would have been better?
It would have been. But we wouldn't have had Muzzin and Hall. And that would have been depressing.
No, you know what? We had to trade Durzi to get Muzzin, who was great.
He was great.
Tie him to... Oh, my fucking
Justin
God.
Hall. But don't worry, Justin Hall's really good. The numbers back it up.